conditioned to think that it takes discipline. In order to have a spiritual awakening, you have to be disciplined. You got to meditate for so long, and you got to, in the Christian world, you got to read your Bible every day, and you got to do all these things, and it requires discipline. When really it's just the opposite. It's just like once you have a spiritual awakening, once you really truly see the divine from within, once you get a glimpse of that truth, then there's no discipline involved. It just turns into a passion. If I told my son he could play video games all day long, he would play all day long. He would wake up in the morning and play, and then he would go use the bathroom and play, then he would eat and then play, because he's just so passionate about video games. It doesn't take any discipline. And inevitably, he would get really good at video games if he did that. And the same is true for spiritual endeavors. Once you have a passion, once that fire is lit within, then it doesn't take any discipline. It's just you wake up and you just want to be in that space. I don't have to focus. It just is what it is. And I think at first it was exhausting. Once I first had my spiritual awakening, there was a time of there was a honeymoon phase where I was just sitting by the river every day for hours. But then once the mind started kicking in, trying to figure out what was going on, then that kind of got exhausting. It was just like always seeking, reading, and just really trying to figure things out. But that doesn't last forever. That's just a phase of awakening. And once that subsides, it's just effortless being, I guess.
How does that come together? Effortless being and passion. Passion doesn't sound like effortless being, or is it? Are they the same thing?
I think it is the same thing. It's an effortless passion. It's like a passion that's coming from another source. I mean, before you have a spiritual awakening, your dreams and your aspirations, who knows what they're based on? It's just thought. All your dreams and what you want to do in life could be based on anything that your ego tells you. It could be based on insecurities that were given to you when you were younger. They could be based on seeing what other people's doing and wanting what other people have. But once the ego dissolves, whatever springs forth at that point from a place of neutrality, whatever type of passion springs forth from there, that it's not based on any egoic motives. It's just, what's meant to be, I guess. Then that your passion is the flip side. It's like your passion and your purpose, at least for the sake of these bodies and in this physical form world, your passion and your purpose at that point become flip sides of the same coin.
And that's all that matters in this type of, when I'm talking to you, it's really where I'd rather stay right there. We can stay right there.
Yeah.
What that brings up, I think, but that's your kind of cornerstone there. I don't see any reason to leave that or to wander too far from that. You probably can't anyway, but.
Well, there's not much else. There's not much else to it. When I go speak at the college, to the college students, the title of my message is Peace, Purpose, Power, in that order. And the idea is that before you go, and your dreams and aspirations can wait until you are healed.
Yeah.
Before you go out seeking, trying to become this or trying to become that, first, establish peace of mind. Be anchored in the truth of who you are, period. Have put everything else on the back burner until you are sure of who and what you are. not intellectually, but, experientially. And then once you are able to rest in that, and there's no more questions, there's no more insecurities, no more seeking, then whatever you become passionate about, pursue it, and pursue it fearlessly, because you are coming from a place of truth. It's like you sink in with the intention of the universe, and you just play your part in the unfolding without any doubts or without any worries or questioning, worrying about, is this the right thing, or should I be doing this, or maybe I should be doing this. You just know, because it's your passion, and every day your passion will bring you things to do. And you just live in the moment.
Pursue it fearlessly.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you giving these interviews, right? Like, it's something you just do, it's just you do it, you find yourself doing it. That's kind of like the interview you had with Cheryl, how you said, at the same time, this unfolding is happening on its own. We have the sensation of doing, but in reality, it's not much. We already, the present moment unfolds before we get a chance to choose on what happens, and our passions are there already, and it's like a perfect orchestration of everything, the synchronicity.
You said that this is what you love, giving this message and then watching people kind of light up. Is that why you do it, or is there something more fundamental?
From my perspective, I have a sensation that I'm choosing these words. From my perspective, the reason why I do things, do the work that I do, is because it saved my life, and I love seeing it, the effect that it has on others. People who are just come to the conclusion that life is stressful, life is tough, life is hard, and then helping them to discover that life doesn't have to be stressful, and that you can go with the flow of things. I love hearing people say, I wish I would have known this 20 years ago, or I wish I would have known this before. I can't believe this is right in front of my face and I didn't know it. That's like the best thing. I love to hear that, because I remember having that feeling,
Yeah, I mean, this stuff is out there, but it's not that accessible. 20 years ago, it wasn't accessible at all, practically. You had to really be lucky and stumble on it. Even now, you have to kind of stumble on it.
Yeah, it's like, but it's more like when the student is ready, the teacher will come. It'll stumble on you. From our perspective, we have coincidences from the human perspective. But in reality, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Perfect timing.
Describe your demographic group.
Now that I started back teaching, it's kind of slowed down, but up until January, the beginning of January, I was speaking about 10 times a month. And the demographic it was a very wide demographic. I do have, when I speak at the college, I'll do speak to their incoming students. I speak to first year college students, and I basically teach the same message. I just package it, like I said, in the terms of more of a motivational speech, but it's the same message. I teach them how to quiet their mind and how to disidentify from their thinking. I also speak to, recovering drug addicts and alcoholics. I speak at detox facilities. I give satsangs, which is, there's no age or demographic that I can predict that will come through there. And then I also give, every second Saturday of the month, I facilitate a mindfulness workshop that's open to the public. And again, you never know who's going to show up. It's every age group from about 20 to 80, black, white, male, female. and there's just no limit. Everybody wants to hear that message. Everybody, there's no prerequisites. And then even I speak to my kids and their friends and whoever needs the relief from that constant chattering mind.
Has it changed your parenting much since this started 5 years ago?
Oh yeah. My parenting, I would say it changed me as a person, so it just changed every relationship that I have. When you change from within, when you learn how to love yourself unconditionally, like with non-judgment, then you audit that love and that compassion for yourself, that unconditional love for yourself automatically without any doing of my own, without any I can't take any credit for it. It's just the way that the mechanics of our being works. The way that you treat yourself, the way that you treat yourself is the way that you'll treat others. The way that you perceive yourself is the way that you perceive others. So if you perceive yourself as a separate being, that has been abandoned out on this tiny ball floating in the middle of the universe, then you're gonna be fearful, and you're gonna view everybody else like they're separate as well. But once you see yourself as connected with the whole, and you begin to see yourself, love yourself unconditionally, and realize that, like when Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Once you apply that to yourself, when you realize that I've just been a robot to my thinking this whole time. I don't really have as much control as I think. Same mind that causes me to judge, that causes me to do something, that's, maybe ill-advised, is the same mind that turns around and judges me for it and tries to give me guilt. And once you wake up from that trick of the mind, you just begin to love yourself unconditionally and have compassion for yourself. And as a result, you begin to love others unconditionally, and you begin to have compassion for others automatically. So I would say all of my relationships change just because I'm not judging people. I allow people to be who they are. I know that everybody is living the same existence, and they're doing the best they can with the tools that they have. So I'm definitely not perfect as a parent, but I'm more compassionate and less judgmental. I'm not trying to create a human into something that I want it to be. I have trust that the universe is, that the intelligence that created this voice that's speaking to you, and the intelligence that created, the universe and the stars, has all my circumstances and all the different aspects of my life are under its control.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where people just hearing you, kind of feeling you, can see what you're talking about, can see what you're seeing. There's like no method needed, it seems like. Can you talk about that? Methods, practices, perspectives, or just shifting attention? Like what's going on when people hear you and the light goes on? What the heck's going on? What kind of interaction is happening?
My method of teaching seems to be a way of just showing people that they already are that. You're not trying to become anything, and there's no levels. You are the same as the intelligence that has you here. There's no separation between you and the intelligence that has you here. But we've been taught otherwise. And if I could just get you to get a glimpse of it for a moment, the mind will kick back in inevitably and remind you of who you believe, who you've been living as. But if I could just get you to have a glimpse of your divinity, then you can't unsee that. And the ego, as strong as mighty as it seems, has to bow down. It might hold on for a while, but the weight of the entire universe will eventually crush it or cause it to become untethered. It's like automatic. But you have to have that initial glimpse. It's like my daughter, the other day, she came and asked me to open her, I think it was mascara. It had gotten stuck on there. And so I went to open the mascara and I turned it and I couldn't turn it. My hands were too slippery. So I grabbed my shirt. You know how you do, and you wrap your shirt around it so I can get some friction. And I finally was able to pop it open. But when I popped it open, I didn't take the top all the way off. I just popped it open and then I gave it back to her. It was up to her to do the rest of the twisting in order to take the top all the way off. And that's kind of like the way that my teaching seems to operate. It's like I just want to pop people open, give them that initial glimpse so that the universe can take it from there and they can go about their spiritual journey and discovering who they are. And instead of focusing on the things out in this world, they can learn how to focus within. And yeah, you're right. There's no method to the madness. There's no tradition or anything. I'm not well versed in Buddhism or any Eastern religion, any of the contemplative religions. I just speak straight from what happened to me, Yeah. And it seems to resonate with people.
Yeah. Do you have much follow up with any of the I call them students, or any of the people that listen to you? I mean, like a year later or whatever.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 2010, pretty consistently, and I see people come around, and I get kind, I always get the messages, kind words, and there's some people who I spoke to or years ago that are still hanging around, or I won't see them for a year and they'll show back up at one of my workshops. Or my goal is not to necessarily get followers. I want people to be independent. I want them to see that they are the same as me. I have a gift of articulating it, but articulating it is not a prerequisite. You don't need to be able to articulate it unless that's your hobby.
Yeah.
Unless that's your thing, and that happens to be my thing. I want people to be healed so that you can go about your life. No one wants to just be. I mean, if non-duality is your hobby, then that's fine. It's my hobby. I love it. But it breaks my heart to hear people who are, been on a spiritual journey for 20 years. It's like, then your teachers, the people that you're speaking with, the people that you're talking to, are not giving you that direct approach. If you've been on a spiritual journey for that long, then perhaps there's other ways of hearing things. Maybe you need to hear it in another way so that you could be done. Spiritual journey is a temporary thing. It's not forever. It's like there's an end. There's a definitive, I'm done searching. Now I can just live and enjoy others and just be at awe at how magnificent this existent existence is, without focusing on trying to figure anything out or still feeling like you're undone. As long as you have that feeling or sensation, then you're still identified with something that you are not.
You went really nicely from something that breaks your heart to awe in this magnificent existence. And just talk about like what else breaks your heart.
Um, just what breaks my heart, let's say, and this is poetry, right? It's like we're speaking in poetry.
Mm.
Um, I would say what breaks my heart is hopelessness. Um, you know, sense of separation, I guess. The collective sense of separation, in a way you could say, breaks my heart. Something that I don't like to see.
Mm.
Just abuse of authority. But this is all from my conditioning, right? I mean, I'm speaking from conditioning now. It's like I have a past. I have things that happened to me in my past where people in authority have abused their authority. So now as an adult, Eckhart Tolle calls it pain bodies. I have a pain body surrounding people who abuse their authority, or basically. So obviously that kind of breaks my heart in a sense.
Yeah. But when you talk about this discussion on breaking your heart, it's like you said, it's a conditioned self that's still, I don't know, I guess we still have to live with it, or we do.
Yes.
It's kind of, I guess that's what interfaces with the world.
Yes. Yes. Well put. It's like our this is an unfolding for the sake of our experiencing. So, and that comes with certain types of conditioning. Our conditioning is not an accident. So it's a beautiful part of this whole, unfolding, for lack of a better terms, So we have what comes along with this body are certain attachments and the mind that has memories and its opinions of things and its way of seeing things. It's the lens through which everybody has a different lens. Muji says there's 7 billion there's 7 billion different worlds, but there's only one Earth, right? Everybody is living in their own world, looking through the lens of their perception. So the idea is not to expect that to go away. I think that may be what, I mean, that's not the goal. The goal is not to have the conditioning go away, the conditioned mind completely vanish. The idea is to disidentify from it, to know that it is not you. So there has to be, you have to be able to watch your conditioning unfold. Like the other day, I was watching on Facebook. There's a video that has a compilation of soldiers coming home to see their family, one after another.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that video, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I just sit there and I just cried. I just allowed myself to cry, And as I allowed myself to cry, there was a part of me that was not crying. There was a part of me that was watching myself trying to allow myself not to cry.
Mm.
It's like I was watching the whole thing unfold. It's like I watched the emotions. I allowed myself to sit and watch the video. I watched myself resist crying. I watched myself look up to see if anyone would walk in my room and see me crying. I watched as I slowly but surely let go and allowed the tears to flow and the ugly face to come, that cry face.
Mm.
I allowed it to unfold. And then the crying subsided. I wiped my tears and then I carried on. That emotion came, the tears flowed, and then that emotion went. But there's a part of me that did not come and go.
Mm.
There's a part of me that was here and that is always here. And that is who I am. I can still
Mm.
play in my conditioning. I can still play in my conditioning by watching a video and allowing myself to cry, or watching a comedian and laughing, or playing basketball and being super aggressive, trying to win. But
Mm.
that is not who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that this is when I asked you, what else breaks your heart, and you said, well, so you qualified it a little, and you said it's more like poetry. And can you just elaborate on that a little, on it being like poetry, on the description or the response to my question, perhaps being poetry, perhaps talk about poetry in general if you want. What poetry tries to do.
Especially in this world of non-duality, we're actually having a conversation about something that cannot be touched with words. We're trying to
Mm.
use the English language that was designed for something else to discuss that which cannot even be fathomed with the intellectual mind. So in order to do that, we have to use words creatively as like hints or pointers, and
Yeah.
with poetry, you don't have to say exactly you don't have to be precise. You could just say a, a sentence, speak a particular line, and the person who's hearing it, if they're listening in a way that is not looking at the particular words, but more looking at what the words are pointing to, then they will kind of get an idea, and they'll kind of get that inner feeling like, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. That was clever. And when we
Mm.
speak about non-duality, like, for example, sometimes at my workshops, I'll tell the participants, I want you to watch your thoughts. On the count of 3, we're going to sit in the silence and we're going to watch our thoughts.
Mm.
Every now and then I'll get a question after the exercise is over. They're like, oh, well, how are you supposed to watch your thoughts? Because the word watch is normally used to refer to what we do with our eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no other word that we have in the English language that refers to that seeing or that looking that you do when you're not looking with your eyes, but you're just kind of silently being aware of what the eyes and what the mind and what the emotions and what the sensations are doing. And the only word I have for that is watch. So therefore,
Mm.
that's why I say it's kind of like poetry. It's not actually watch, You don't actually watch, but if you can you get it? If I say it's poetry, maybe you can get it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's basically it. You know, I'm also a hip hop artist, and that's
Mm.
one of my favorite tools to use to bait the youth into self-awareness, because they get it. They understand hip hop. They understand uh, rap lyrics. The lyrics are not precise. They're trying to
Mm.
get you to say, whoa. They're trying to get you to have this intuitive uh, kind of, it's like a inside joke you have with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Only you and that person get it. Well, hip hop, when you rap, it's
Mm.
people who listen to hip hop or who are, you know, really connoisseurs of the craft. They know that it's like an inside joke in a way. Rhymes, they say one thing, and of course the message can be clearly, you know, portrayed in the verse, but also there's a deeper kind of inside, you know, joke in a way, but not a joke. So that's why I
Yeah.
love hip hop, because I can relate to. There's no, you know, I'm 39 years old. I'll be 40 in September, but I could relate to an 18-year-old directly without any borders or without any boundaries, because of my ability to write raps, you know, or poetry.
Yeah. Nicely explained. Have you gone into hip hop as much as like? Um, have you really probed? I mean, you're an in-depth guy, so I imagine you might have looked at what hip hop is as far as like what the hip hop is at its most fundamental in its most fundamental nature. Like, what is the hip hop?
I would say I am hip hop, you know, like, of course, that's poetry as well, but, you know, I grew up in that culture.
Mm.
I, it's such a part of who I am as far as my conditioning, that it's kind of like if I asked you, so tell me about your past, tell me about yourself, you know, your conditioned self, not obviously not the true. I'm saying if I'm just like kind of casually asking you, tell you about yourself, then you could effortlessly go into a story about your past and where you've come from and what has led you to being the personality that you are today. And the same is true kind of with hip hop. I do remember my first like experiences with hip hop back when I was very young, with LL, Cool J, and Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. And from that moment on, that's all I wanted to be, hip hop and breakdancing, and all my friends, the slang, the language that we used. And, um, you know, I grew up in that culture, so submerged in that culture that I definitely have a perspective of it that I can say that I'm well versed at it. But at the same time, on the flip side of it, I don't have a lot of historical knowledge of hip hop. I'm not a student of it in that way. I have my favorite artists, and I'm an artist myself. So that's basically the extent of it. But I know that the hip hop culture is very kind of similar to not the non-duality culture, in that it's just so forgiving, and it allows everything. It allows you to be without any judgment. It's so not, there's no, it's, you could be whatever you are and just be free to be that, unfold. And it also, um, like I said, it's like uh, it connects. It's like sports in a way. It kind of breaks down the borders between people, you know. And at the same time, you know, there's still duality within hip hop. You know, there's genres within hip hop that don't like each other, and you know, so it can be it can
Oh
go
yeah.
deep. Yeah.
Same as the non-duality
Same.
community, as you've noticed. You know, not everyone gets along or likes it. Certainly doesn't necessarily like each other. Um,
Exactly.
but I love that description of hip hop allows you to be free to be, and so does non-duality. I mean, again,
Yeah.
you'll find you'll find your little conflicts within that, but there's a place to be free. There's a place to go and be yourself in hip hop and in non-duality. So when I look at the core or the kernel or the essence of non-duality, I don't know what you'd call it, but you
Mhm.
might call it being, presence. You don't need to identify it, but just to create a parallel with hip hop. Hip hop again allows you to be extremely free, and you can hear that in the songs. Some of them talk about killing this one or that one, and others are very, very spiritual.
Right.
And the whole spectrum is expressed. So what's the core then? If the core of non-duality is presence, could the core of hip hop be something called the hip hop?
Uh, yeah. I mean, um, you know, that's like kind of we're kind of crossing over into the philosophical in a way,
Mm,
which is fine. But I mean, you know, the core of hip hop is the same as the core of non-duality. You know, it's like when you go to the core of anything, like it's all the same. I mean, there's only really one core,
yeah.
and I think everything is kind of working together to take our attention to that core. Like religions, if you go to the core of religion, it's the same source. You know, it's just some people can't hear hip hop, so they need to hear religion. Some people can't hear religion, they need non duality. But ultimately, all the words and concepts combined, whether they're framed in terms of hip hop or religion or philosophy or non duality, all the terms, all the words and concepts, they're all pointing us to that same core.
Nisargadatta wrote the book I Am That, and it sounds like, from what I'm hearing from you, one can say hip hop is that.
Oh, sure,
Do you
sure.
talk to people on that level about hip hop?
Um, Not really, actually. I don't. If it comes up, you know, I'm kind of. I use. I usually use hip hop. If I speak, like if I do a workshop on hip hop, I'll use hip hop as a way to um, help young people to realize the role that they're trying to play, that they're playing, or the fact that they're playing a role. You know, um, most MCs are rap artists, especially once we get on stage or when we're in front of people, we transform into this hip hop swag, for the lack of better terms. It's like you know, it's like that, you know, it's just like a new role that we're playing as the MC. It's not the same role that you play when you're looking in the mirror or when you're with your mother. You know,
Mm.
it's a definitive transformation into the rapper, you know. And I do that all the time, you know, like when I speak at the college, a lot of times I'll speak, like I say, on peace, purpose, and power. And then at the end, I'll do a I'll do a song. I'll spit some verses. And that transition from being the speaker to being the MC, so drastic, you know. It's definitely just me jumping into another role. And the idea is to you, I mean, in most MCs or most people in hip hop, like if you're a break dancer, you know when you're about to do your thing, you know, you start to get into that mode, you know, that zone and that role as a as a performer, as a you know, as a hip hop artist. And you feel that. So if I could point them, I use their own experience to say, you see how you went from that role, you're speaking to me, and you're playing another role, but then you jump into that other role. You know, I kind of use that as a pointer to show them that, okay, you can jump from role to role to role, but then there's a part of you that does not, this is not associated with any of the roles. How do we discover that which is neutral and that does not have a role, that is not associated with any particular craft or any particular social conditioning or background, socioeconomic background, or any type of anything that has to do with your personality or anything, just any role that you have to play in this flesh suit we call a body.
Chad, you have lots of tricks, lots of ways of pointing people to that, which never changes. And I think the first I discovered you when I saw, I think the football metaphor,
Oh yeah.
professional football. I think that's the first thing I saw about you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe there was something else I saw. I don't remember. But so it sounds like you know, try to use anything, whether it's a mascara bottle or, you know, a football game.
Yeah.
You cover the, you know, you can use it. You do use it.
I think that the only reason, the only purpose for our existence is to discover the truth of who we are. And therefore, if that is the only purpose for our existence, then everything that we see and everything that happens in this world, you know, no matter how insignificant it may seem, it is here for the purpose of that discovery. You know, everything, every little nuance, all the things that we share. The reason, like, comedians do the same thing. Like, the reason why comedians are so funny is because they can relate. They say things that we all can relate to, you know. And there's so many things in this world. There's so many different phenomenon that we can all relate to. And it's all there. And we're all here for the purpose of, I mean, if the purpose of us being here is for us to discover our oneness, you know, then everything here can be used. And I guess I'm always in that mode, you know, of trying to, you know, see the message in things, you know, what is the deeper meaning, and to simplify it, because that's how people learn. They don't need the I mean, you can get deep if you want and hide the ball and kind of, there's a lot of non-dual cliches that are, you know, they point to truth, but the average everyday person, they may read it and it may go over their head. And I'm just saying there's ways to talk to people who are not well versed in the non-dual conversation. There's ways to expose them to it with with things that we all experience in everyday life. It doesn't have to be so complex. It doesn't have to be so deep. It's not deep, actually. The mind is what makes it seem deep. It's really very plain and very regular.
Non-duality, I don't think is popular on in a cultural way. So even though, like you said, it's might be the most obvious thing, it's
Well, I just think this is, uh, I think nature is just like kind of like a butterfly,
mm,
just evolving like a but. It's like, we had unconsciousness and now we're evolving into consciousness. And the corporations and the military and the government must follow suit. It's nature. Can't change the course of nature. And
mm.
the fact that more and more people are awakening is not a coincidence. The corporations, they don't have any they don't have any clue about non-duality.
Mm.
Non-duality is only revealed to those with the sufficient level of humility.
But they may have a sense, and they do have a sense that what is essential for the success, the thriving of their corporation is craving for things, and so they might be experts at duality.
Yes, that's true. I mean, we all are, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
we've
good.
all mastered duality. I mean, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to try to see duality, to see, like, I don't have to make any effort to see my computer and have the sensation that it is separate from me. It already seems like it is. But in order to realize that it's one and that everything that I see is inside of me, I have to have a spiritual awakening in order to see experientially that there is no separation, not metaphorically or hypothetically or even poetically, but in actuality, there is no separation. I have to have a
Mm.
spiritual awakening. And that's why I created the W.A.Y project, which is like a community with the purpose of creating world peace, one world at a time, right?
Yeah, one person at a time,
One person at a time.
one person, one world.
Yep.
Going back to hip hop, because I've have you ever read anything? I think I'm the only one that carries the material. It's by Justin Miles, or he writes about hip hop in the very non-dual way. He lives in Washington D.C. area, close to Cheryl Abram, I guess. Can I just read a short paragraph? And
Sure.
he says the true MC knows that hip hop is not something you do, nor is it something you live, nor is it something, nor is it nothing. It is nor and nor. If a true MC does create from the ego, it is done out of exploration of what the ego seems to be, not out of establishment of permanence, nor out of attachment. She shares her experiences only as a way to wake others up, not as a way to expand her ego. So that kind of sounds what you were doing by jumping from one role to another.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even when I write my rhymes these days, it's all about that. It's all about, I want at first listening upon first listening, the expectation is that the true hip hop artists, they say, man, that dude got rhymes. Wow.
Mm,
How'd he, how'd he put those rhymes together? But then upon a closer listening, I hope that they would say, you know, or at least be intrigued by the words and the content so that they could see that these are not just words. I am a fisher of men in a way. It's like I have an ulterior motive. I'm not trying to, I'm not just trying to entertain you, you know. Um, I'm trying to kind of trick you into
Hmm.
seeing yourself.
Now, hip hop, you talk about passion. You started out the conversation with that. I mean, hip hop really, when you're rapping, I mean, it really allows you to express your passion in a way, in a way that's different from giving a talk or doing an interview like this. It might be the same passion, but comes through with a very very different energy when you're rapping.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like it, you know. Um, it's definitely a, a passion is definitely a good word to use to describe that feeling that you get, that sensation. You know, it's like being in sync with the universe. You know, I kind of get the same feeling when I'm giving an interview in a way, or when I'm speaking, but it's not as you know, I can lose myself in the music, you know, momentarily in the moment. I can just
Yeah.
lose myself in there, and it's like an adrenaline rush. It's momentary, but it's, you know, it's definitely a passionate expression of existence. You know, it's just like it's just another taste of experiencing.
Mm.
You know, it's just another way to taste this life experience. You know, we all, it's just the same is true for like competition. You know, I play basketball, and when the competition is really stiff, like when it's really some tough, you know, close
Mm.
game and really competitive teams, there's nothing like the focus. I can't even describe that type of focus and adrenaline that comes. But again, it comes and then it goes. Nothing
Mm.
can stay. You know, it's just all a part of the play. It's like making love, or, you know, watching a good movie, or crying over a over a YouTube video, or eating a good meal. They're just all different tastes of experiencing, and none of them are greater or more profound or have any greater significance than the other. They're just another taste.
And I guess that goes for the most sublime spiritual experiences.
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, um, you know, spiritual experiences are often, and, and this is what I've learned from teaching, is that spiritual experiences can often be the reason why people stay on their spiritual journeys so long. It's like they're seeking the next spiritual experience. They just want another high, if you will. Speaking of high, if you want to have spiritual experiences, you could just take drugs,
Yeah.
you know, and there it'll give you a high, and you might have an amazing non-dual experience. But again, it comes and then it goes. You know, true spiritual awakening is it's like it's more anticlimactic. It's more of an abiding awareness. It's a more of
Mm.
a sober uh, seeing, if you will. It doesn't get attached to any particular experience It knows and trusts that the universe will bring experiences into this present moment that will allow it to enjoy and have joy and appreciate the taste of experiencing without wanting things to be different. Sometimes the best thing to be is bored. That is the most, sometimes boredom is the greatest gift that we can have.
Why?
Because it's a way of catching the mind, thinking mind, with its hand in the cookie jar. There's not a lot of distractions. It's just the mind wanting things to be different, thinking things should be different. And that's a great time to just sit and watch the tricks of the mind. It's like it's exposing itself. When you be still, there's nothing to do. You don't have anything to do. The mind will just go to work trying to figure out why things should be different, why you're so bored. That's the perfect time to just allow yourself to be bored.
Okay. Chad, you mentioned a couple of times you play basketball, and I mean, when you mentioned it recently, I can see you love basketball. And so I'm just curious, like, what do you play in a league? At what position do you play? I mean, what are you really good at? What aren't you
Yeah,
good at? I don't know. You can just,
yeah. I play in a league on Sundays, and then I usually play, a 24-hour during the week. 24-hour, or there's another gym close to me. So I play about 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how my body is feeling. And I would say, I mean, as far as position, it depends on who I'm playing with. So I'm about 6'2", and I played football in college, so I have that type of body. I'm more. I mean, I'm not thick, but I have some residual muscle left over from my football days, so I can be an aggressive, and I can handle the ball as well. So I face the basket, or I can back up, and I'm just I always
mm,
like to think I'm a well-rounded player.
yeah.
Of course, there's always players you can get with that can make you feel like
Mm,
you're very amateur. So it just
mm.
I always kind of I want to play with people that can challenge me. It just depends on the group. But I played all through high school, and I could have played at the college level, but I chose football. So
And what college did you go to?
I went to Sacramento State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're up there in Sacramento, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
That's how I get my exercise.
do you find that as you said you're getting near 40, do you find you got to stretch more before you play?
Yeah, I mean, I have to stretch more, and I have to take longer breaks in between playing. Like, I was considering going to play today. I haven't played since Sunday, but my Achilles is kind of sore, so I was just kind of like, just gonna kind of see how I felt when that time came. You know, it's
Mm,
like I always have the pull to play even when I'm injured. I still have that.
yeah.
That you know, it's,
And what position did you play in college in football?
I played safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you describe that for people who don't know what it is?
Okay. Safety is like a defensive back that is kind of like the quarterback of the defense in a way. I'm the furthest back, and I have to play both the pass and the run.
Mm,
So if there's a pass, I have to make sure that no one gets the long pass over the top. And if there's a run, I have to make sure I can come up and make a secure tackle because I'm the last line of defense.
yeah, like you could have used your non-duality stuff back then, probably.
Oh my
In that
goodness.
in that position, I think, where you just kind of have that openness, open mind.
Yeah, yeah. I was, you know, back then I was very, I was very athletic. I wasn't very focused. I was very social, more into my social life. Academically, it was all, I put all my eggs into the NFL basket at the time. There was no plan B,
Yeah.
but I started getting injured. And once injuries start kicking in, it's like, oh my goodness, what are you going to do now? So that's kind of how it went. I got invited to the San Diego Chargers, flew me out to their rookie camp. That Ryan Leaf, the year Ryan Leaf was there, it was just amazing experience. They worked me out, and I didn't get much of a look. And then they sent me home, and that was the extent. Once I got sent home, I didn't pursue it anymore. I was just like,
Hmm.
let's just go on with life. I was married and I had a baby, so I just got a job, and the rest is history.
Be an interesting conversation to find people in professional sports who, I don't know how you would say it, self-realized or have this understanding. The only person I think of offhand is Evan Gaddis with the Atlanta Braves, who who was with Muji and Jeannie Zandy, John Wheeler. Uh, he's pretty steeped in non-duality. It'd be interesting to see how it affects, or how much it affects their game. Certainly, it affects your life overall, but how does it affect being at the plate? As a baseball player, how would it affect someone on the field doing their job?
Well, I think that the reason why we do a lot of the things that we do that we're passionate about is because it does give us that ability to focus and be quiet and be still naturally. It's like you don't have, when you're passionate about it, you don't have to, it doesn't take that much effort. Like, for example, I have a friend um, who I introduced to non-duality a while back. And this guy, he is the most, I don't even know how to explain it. He spends so much time on his art, and he's painting all the time. And he has this almost, it's a freakishly ability to focus on his art. But then when he's not doing his art, he was suffering tremendously in his mind, you know. So, after getting to know him for a while, and, after spending time with him and meditation and just having many of these conversations, and, obviously he's so well versed at it now that he's free, but it, what we're finding, or what I've discovered, is that, you know, that's the reason why he was so able to focus, is because that was the only time he was able to find that stillness, And I remember when I used to play football back in the day, and even basketball, when I get in a zone, when I have my 25 or 30 point games, when I'm just going off, it's like
Mm.
I'm in a zone. I'm so focused, so locked in, and it's that peace of mind. I don't even realize it, but it's just that quietness that brings such a peace, and I think that's a major reason. And everybody has their things that they do to have peace. Like, if you don't know about non-duality, or if you don't know about your true nature, you are doing something. I don't know what it is, but you are doing something to find that quietness and that stillness. Some people watch TV. It's like they can zone out when they're watching TV, or some people take drugs, or you know, drink alcohol. Some people are addicted to sex. We're seeking that ability, that escape from the that constant chatter. Everybody's seeking it, and you can channel it and work it to your benefit and use it to, uh, you know, enhance your gift and talent. But at some point, if you don't discover the true source of your peace, then the mind is gonna get back on the attack. That's the perfect mechanism. That's how it's designed. At some point, we have to humble ourselves and look elsewhere for that peace, other than in our gifts and talents.
Well, I think you said it more than once in this conversation, and in different ways. That's what you're good at.
Thank you. I saw a video of you rapping one day. Not bad, man. I saw that.
So I go to karaoke and I might do Sinatra, and there's a big difference between doing, "Come Fly With Me" and
Yeah.
rapping something that was, the lyric was actually written by that guy Justin Miles.
Okay.
I just used some music from, I forget what I used, but yeah, I mean, you can feel, just doing it, you can feel that energy, and you're really communicating something. You're trying to communicate something with that passion, with real energy. Yeah, it's a lot different than just doing a Sinatra song or something or whatever I do. You can just feel it,
Yeah, it's
You can
definitely
just feel it.
it's a great feeling, man. Connecting with the crowd, there's nothing better than hearing the crowd.
And it's the only time people really enjoyed my performance, and it's the only time that I came back a couple of weeks later and someone said, "Hey, are you gonna rap some more?" It's the only time, no one ever said, "Hey, you gonna do more for Sinatra?" No one ever did that, but yeah, they wanted to hear me rap. So, but I never did it again because I don't want to do like an Eminem song, or I want to do something that feels more original.
Right. Well,
And
I gotta give you my I have a YouTube page where that's dedicated to my hip hop music, and I
oh,
have like, I guess, 30 something videos out there of me just in the front of the camera rapping, you
oh, I
know.
haven't seen that. I want to thank you very much.
Jerry, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to continuing this dialogue.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch. Be keeping an eye on everything you're doing. Chadwick Johnson, thank you. Appreciate talking to you.
Okay, you have a good day, man.
Okay,
All right,
see you,
bye-bye.
Chad. Bye.